I just want everyone to feel a glimpse of what that feels like, to move through the discomfort, to do the thing that your body, your inner knowing knows that you're meant to do, because that might be the glimpse that allows you to have more courage and to take bigger and bolder action and get in alignment and get on this spiritual path that you and I are both on, that's been so magically rewarding and hard, but synchronistic and just really, really special and unique. So I would just tell everyone, intuitive action is where it's at. And if you do one small intuitive action today, it might just be the thing that changes your life.
Hello, love. Welcome to the Sacred Purpose Podcast, a place where we illuminate your innate wisdom and help you embody your soul's calling. I'm your host, Lisa Malia, midwife, breast cancer survivor, and mama of 3. Turned nonprofit CEO and embodiment coach. We're each on a unique path to live our sacred purpose, but we don't need to walk it alone. Through the power of connection, feminine wisdom, and embodied leadership, we can elevate our lives, communities, and businesses. Each week, I'll bring you transformative stories, practices, and rituals to support you in trusting and following your intuition. Creating space to live a life of sacred purpose with deeper clarity and unapologetic joy as we reimagine and envision a new way forward. Are you ready? Let's dive in. In this episode, I get to sit down with Francesca Sipma and have a conversation all about intuition, which is so perfect and fascinating because up until a few weeks ago, we did not know each other at all. And our paths crossed, and we both knew instantly that there was something there, that we were meant to be brought together for a reason, and that is still evolving to this day. The way this conversation even unfolded and the topic of intuition theme of the interview, it seemed like the natural choice to help start and launch our party over here at the Sacred Purpose Podcast. So I'm so pleased to be able to say that this is our first episode 01, and that it gets to be a conversation that I love. It's juicy, it's wonderful, and we dive right into all the ways that we move with our intuition and how we've developed that practice of listening to our intuition and then following our intuition, and just the trust that it takes to be able to take action even when you don't know why fully yet. And how sometimes even that can be a little bit addicting to expect that you're going to always have this access and these big, massive downloads, even when sometimes they're small. But we both connected online in a completely separate workshop. We were doing intros, and she mentioned something about a trip to Bali. And of course, I lit up. I was like, oh, we have a similar Bali story path. And then she went on, she recently had this hit to go check out San Diego, move with San Diego. And it's like, oh my gosh, I did the same thing, except for it was Seattle. And how we both have just taken very similar big leaps of faith just by trusting our intuition, and how that's led us on this path that we're on and where we're still headed. And I'm so excited to have her here. She has a hypno breathwork practice that she's going to tell us more about. In fact, by the time this episode airs, I will have also completed her training. I've been doing meditation for a long time. I've been a breathwork student, and I just really loved the way that she created this offering around hypno breathwork and found it to be such a wonderful tool for having a clear intention around what I want to bring my awareness to and receive the information and the clarity that I'm seeking. And I'm just so excited to introduce you to her and to get to see what happens next for us, and for you to get to learn more about her in this episode. Thank you so much for being here. You're going to love diving into this conversation and get so much out of it. Francesca Sipma is a former New Yorker who spent her career in advertising and marketing for top global brands. After 10 years of chasing an insatiable lifestyle, she experienced a radical awakening and went on a quest to find her higher purpose. She found herself in a deep exploration journey, exploring modalities and retreats all over Bali, India, and Peru. She became fascinated by the power of breath and subconscious mind as a catalyst into self-awareness to deconstruct childhood conditioning and social programming. A voracious reader and deeply motivated student, she has been able to utilize the tools she teaches to transcend anxiety, self-doubt, unhealthy relationship patterns, addiction, and more. She is passionate about infusing psychology, spirituality, and science to guide transformative growth experiences. Francesca is now a certified breathwork coach and hypnotherapist based in Los Angeles, California, helping others come into alignment with their highest selves and live more meaningful lives of purpose and service. Can you imagine anybody more perfect to help me kick off this show? Before we dive in, I do want to invite you, since this is our brand new first episode, if you would be so kind, if you get something out of this episode, if you enjoy it, if you want to share it, if you want to help us spread the message of the work we're doing here, kindly go leave us a 5-star review if you loved it, and review it, write a review. It really helps us reach more people. It helps the goddess of the algorithm show us to more people and help us get the word out of the work we're doing here. And to gift you, if you write a review for us, I would love to give you my Body and Breath Clarity Practice Bundle. It includes a meditation from me for clarity and some worksheets and a music playlist and a few more tips and tricks and rituals to help you find that daily clarity that you seek. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Francesca. Welcome to the show. I'm so honored to have you here on the Sacred Purpose podcast with me today. I'm so excited to share your insight and your wisdom and your life experience with our listeners today. We have Francesca Sipma from Hypno Breathwork with us today, and she's someone I met through a coach of ours, and I knew immediately that she was someone I needed to deeply connect with, and so excited to be able to have this conversation here and share it with our audience today. I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're at today and what brought you there, and then we can dive into a little bit more about the magic that you bring, especially through hypno breathwork, and how that's guided you to be where you're at today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm really excited to chat with you too. It definitely feels very synchronistic for us to come together today. So again, my name is Francesca Sipma. I am a breathwork coach and hypnotherapist. I have developed my own methodology. So I'm now the founder and creator of Hypno Breathwork. So you can add entrepreneur to those titles as well. And right now I am currently in sunny San Diego. And my practice actually brought me here today. So I love that I get to kind of have this conversation with you while I'm living what the practice has kind of shown me to do, which was to bring me here and start to look for my new future home.
That is just incredible and wild. And it's, again, one of those things that I feel like I connect with so immediately with you on, because sometimes these big life-changing decisions come about and you can't even really explain it to anybody. And from the outside, people might just be like, what are you doing now? And you're like, I'm trusting my intuition.
Yeah.
And it does make sense in the end. You start to realize that trusting that is really a powerful tool.
It's a powerful tool. It brings so much clarity. It gets you into alignment. I think learning to take that leap and learning to just kind of trust in the unknown and be really present with those decisions, it's game changing. So definitely as soon as I landed, I felt in complete alignment. My body was buzzing. I had so much energy. It just felt like everything was becoming clear already just being here.
Oh, that sounds so good. That brings up a question for me. So before you landed and you got that confirmation that this felt good for you, did it feel like an easy, like, oh, okay, I'll go check out San Diego? Or was it like, oh my God, really? How did that feel in your body at first when you decided to follow that calling?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it was just, I think 2 weeks ago, I was in a hypno breathwork self-guided session. And I asked our signature question. Our signature question is, what is the next action step to create the life that I want? And As
Ooh,
soon
such a
as
good question.
It's such a great question. And, some days you get really big, prolific things, and some days it's just very small daily steps. And I had been noticing in myself, I'd been traveling back to New York, which I'd spent 10 years and really loving the energy and not being excited when I got back to LA. So I was like, I think a change is coming. Like, I feel like something's brewing. And when I asked that question, just very clearly, I saw move to San Diego.
Mm.
And I was like, whoa. And even right now, I have chills as I say that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, move to San Diego. And my reaction was, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, because I've been planning to move to San Diego in like a year or two when I could buy a home. And I thought, okay, I'm going to buy a home in La Jolla. That's the next step for me. But it was like, nope, you're going now and you're going to build roots and you're going to
Mm.
start your life like more downtown San Diego. You're going to rent. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is
Not
just,
at all what you envisioned.
yeah, it was just really unexpected. And I think more so really unexpected for my partner, because we had just gotten a really beautiful home in LA and we're definitely planning on spending more time there. But it was so strong. It was just like this roaring, loud voice that there was no question. Like when it came through, it brought complete peace over my body. Like just
Mm.
the thought of San Diego just relaxed my entire nervous system. It just became so clear. There was no confusion, analyzing, indecision. It was just like, that's it. That's your next move. And that's what you
Wow.
need to run with. So I've been
So
doing this.
powerful.
Yeah, I've been doing this enough to know when it's that loud and clear that that's
Mm-hmm.
that there's no, well, let's like be logical about this. No, it's just honoring that deeper inner knowing
Yeah,
and taking action on it.
that is amazing. I don't know about you, but I've learned to follow that inner knowing a little bit more readily than I used to. I used to think that I could, negotiate with my inner knowing a little bit and try to be like, okay, I hear you, but I'm going to stick with my plan. And I am going to move in a year when I can afford to buy that house or whatever. And I've just learned like, it just, you know what, the universe is just going to keep knocking and it's going to get louder until you can make it easy on yourself and just go with it, which I've learned, especially that's what's worked for me, is just like, okay, I hear you, I'm going to follow through this time. Because it's one thing to actually hear your intuition, it's a whole other thing to take that leap of faith, follow it, and move with it and trust it that much, even when you don't have all the answers. And that's what I think is just so powerful about exercising that muscle of not just hearing it and listening to it, but then actually taking some action on it.
You just hit the nail on the head. It's about building that muscle. And I remember when it would start to come through, when I first started my breathwork practice, I would hear these like messages or these just pings that just felt really clear, but I didn't know what to do with them yet. And because we're so trained to listen to our logical mind, it's really hard to trust that. It's really hard to trust ourselves and to trust this like mystical kind of message that comes
Mm-hmm.
through, like your soul. But every time I did, something magical would happen.
Yeah.
And I practiced this for a year as I was sort of traveling and exploring different modalities. But I would just get these like little intuitive pings that would say, don't go back to SF, go to India. And I'd be like, what? Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't get on that flight, like all these little, and I would just follow these little seeds and these little breadcrumbs. And they ended up being so rewarding in ways that I couldn't predict pragmatically, that now it's just become a lifestyle. It's become a habit. So it's really easy for me to just move through the discomfort, move past my logical mind, and just trust the process and trust myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I relate to that so much. So I wonder, is there a moment in your life where that was sort of a pivotal moment for you, a transition, a shift? Some people will call it an awakening, a moment where everything really shifted and put you on this path?
Oh, yeah. I think my spiritual awakening happened from several years of burnout in Manhattan. So I had done 10 years in advertising and marketing and had reached sort of my career goals and felt really unfulfilled. I still felt really miserable. And I was just continually chasing the next hit, the next promotion, the next party, the next guy. And it was insatiable. And eventually I just got to this place where I was like, nothing is filling this void. Like I need to go deeper within myself. I need to go inward.
And that word insatiable, just like there's no satisfaction in it. Like you're wanting and craving more and it's not getting any satisfaction is what comes to mind when I hear that word. It's so powerful.
And my hits were big, you know, it was like, okay, I got the promotion on Google. Like all I wanted. I'm at the best agency in New York City. That's all I wanted. I'm going client side. I'm on the private jet now. I have the company commando in Bermuda now. I mean, they were big goals. And as soon as I would get them, I'd be like, okay, what's next? There was no gratitude. There was no joy. There was just the next thing. And the next thing for me first was, okay, San Francisco, maybe I'm just burnt out of the city and I need to go work at a startup so I have more autonomy and can do something more entrepreneurial. That was bottom. And when I was there, because San Francisco is a completely different pace than New York, I had time to reflect and start to go inward and say, where is this coming from? It's never enough. It's never good enough. Nothing ever satiates me. And I just remember the power of now kind of coming into my life and reading that like profound Eckhart Tolle book and learning more about the present moment. And that was where the awakening really started, was realizing that I'm really living in the past or I'm living in the future and I'm never right here, right now. So I would say that in that book, the first chapter was like enlightening for me. That was the first step of it. But at the end of that book, he recommends reading Living in the Light by Shakti Gawan. And this is a very easy breezy read, but she says we have to listen to our body and not our logical mind. And you have to lead with your intuition and then take action on it. So it's leading with the feminine, following with the masculine. And I just thought to myself, whoa, I'm all masculine. I'm just bold and logic and analyzing and what makes the most sense and results and effectiveness. And I'm not listening to my body. And she has you sit in this like meditative exercise. And she just says, what feels good in your body? And the only thing, and I know you'll resonate with this, the only thing that felt good in my body was Bali. It was Bali.
See, this is where we got everything you're saying. I'm like, yes. All about the body. That is just the messages, the intuition, the knowing. It's in there. It's in your bones, and it wants to be heard. And Bali, I mean, say no more. I'm hooked. Tell me everything.
But the intuition is the body, right? And so when I thought of it, I just felt such peace, such surrender, such opening. And I just knew like, okay, logically, my apartment, my job, I have no idea how I'm going to figure these things out. And everything in me up here is doubt, fear, like insecurity. Like, I need to have 6-month plan. Like I need more security. Like, but my body was like, just go and the rest will work itself out and you'll figure it out and it's fine. And it's the exact same feeling I felt when I saw San Diego. So I don't know what's coming for me here, but I know that it feels so right because I haven't had it this strong. I've definitely had millions of intuitive pings since then of action steps to take and do, but nothing has felt as loud as Bali as San Diego.
Yeah. Wow. That just gives me chills. And it's so nice to also have that reference point as you've exercised that muscle and you recognize that feeling and you know you can trust it. I think that's the important, I don't know, the magical part of it, just knowing that you can trust it and having that confidence and that trust. So beautiful. And I can completely relate to the Bali thing and the way that you can try and talk yourself out of it. Like I had this opportunity, this window open up and this calling to go, and I could take my girls and it was going to be over, 6, 8, 12 weeks. Like I didn't really know. And the logical mind was like, you can't do that. And every time I asked, it was, well, why not? And it was because, well, women don't just pick up and leave with their children and go to Bali for 3 months. You're supposed to be doing all these other things, all the supposed to's and all the shoulds, and you can't do that. And I just kept asking, but why not? And then finally I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I get to do this. It was just giving myself permission to trust myself and also just go do something that didn't feel totally logical, but absolutely made sense and was everything I needed and was so transformative. So,
and that is really exercising the muscle, right? You do it once and as big as you did. I mean, I only had to account for myself and you are bringing your whole family. So it's even more courageous. It's even more bold. And when you feel the rewards of that, it's a little bit addicting. You're like, okay, what's next?
True, you're right. You're expecting an epiphany and a big download all the time. You're like, come
Yeah.
on, just tell me. I'm listening. Tell me.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Well, tell me then, how was it that you were guided to hypno breath work, and how did that work start to support you on your journey?
So the feeling in my body was book a one-way ticket to Bali. And I did that. And I remember just looking at retreats in Bali and looking for a meditation or a yoga retreat. And this one came through and she spoke about breath work. I had no idea what it was. I thought, gentle breathing during your meditation or something like that. But her language was so similar to the language of Eckhart Tolle and Shakti Gawan that I had just read. So again, it just felt in alignment. And I just booked it. I booked this private 7-day retreat, didn't really know much else, and went in with sort of an open mind. And as I got there, they explained to me that they were going to do this holotropic breathwork style, and it was going to be hour-long, breathing practices. And we were really going to like access, our subconscious and get into the body and have really big emotional releases. I remember that they explained it to me that I might howl and I might cry and I might scream. And I just thought, that would never happen to me. Like, absolutely not. I'm so contained. I'm in control of myself. And when I went into my first session, it was like hands clamping up, pursing around the mouth, like vibrating, shaking. I saw this image of myself as a 7-year-old girl. And the message was just, you're too hard on yourself. And I just broke open and I was bawling. And day after day after day, it was breakthrough, break open, breakthrough, break open. I mean, it was a profound, to this day, it was the most profound experience of my life. And I just got to know myself on a whole other level. Like the mask was gone, the facade was gone, the New Yorker was gone. It was just really bringing up for me the moments that had shaped my personality and my identity and the tough girl exterior. And I had to go back and really heal and release and let go of the past. And after that experience, I was transformed. I mean, I had lost so much weight in 7 days. It was just like emotional baggage. And I was lighter. I was clearer. My intuition then was firing. I could feel what was going on with my friends back in the States. And I would check in on them. They're like, how do you know that? I was like, I don't know. I'm just so clear right now. Like I'm not carrying all this emotion, this stagnant energy. And I felt amazing. And I just knew that I had to bring some form of this modality into the people's lives that I cared about, back home. And so I just started studying. Like I became fascinated with breathwork. You've had your breathwork experiences. They're magical. They're magical, really.
They really are.
It's just like, it's like nothing you've ever experienced in any other modality because it is so physical. It's so experiential and it's so insightful. So I just went and tried to study and understand from different teachers and different practitioners and facilitators, their styles, their cues, their music. And what I learned on that process was, yes, people were having big emotional releases. That was pretty much 10 out of 10, but they weren't necessarily integrating in a way that could change the behavior pattern sustainably. That's where I found the opportunity. And I just thought to myself, if I could figure out how to turn this from just an experience into actually changing your day-to-day life, like that would be like the gold star. And what I found was, I had tried plant medicine. I'd done a 10-day silent meditation. I'd gone to Tony Robbins and Eckhart Tolle conferences.
Wow.
Hypnotherapy was the one that I also was really intrigued by because that was really reprogramming your subconscious mind. That was rewiring limiting beliefs that were hardwired in your brain and in your nervous system. So I thought, could I combine breathwork with hypnotherapy into a more efficient, 22-minute process so people in the West would actually take the time to do their personal development work? And that's how hypnobreathwork was created. And it's just kind of taking off from here.
It really is. And wow, what a story, what a journey, and a testament to just following your curiosity and your intuition and your willingness to just trust that there was something that was going to come together out of this. Because I don't know that when you went to Bali, you were thinking, wow, I'm going to become even a yoga instructor or something else. You were just looking to find yourself, is what it sounds like to me. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I was like, okay, I'll do this 7-day retreat and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably come back in like 2 weeks and get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought 100% I'm going back into marketing and advertising and that's what I do. But
Right.
when you talk about trusting your intuition, to end up traveling the world for a year could not be more against my conditioning, my
Absolutely.
financial responsibility, my savings, like just the way I approached life. I don't think I had gone a day without working since I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So to really allow myself to take the time, there was days where my intuition was like, you just need to read that book. And I'd be like, I
Mm.
can't take a day to just read a book. How unproductive is that? And it ended up being the most productive thing because my knowledge about this information and how I was able to apply it in business later was tenfold.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
really like when you trust your intuition, you're really unlearning a lot of the different ways that we've been taught to function in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
Yeah.
lot.
And it's a lot. It's so beautiful. I could talk to you about this all day. I just, as somebody who's an embodiment coach and following that intuition and listening to the messages that we have in our body, I just think we connect so much there. And then you add breath work to that, and you're right, it's just so transformative. And the way that you've incorporated it with the hypno breath work, I have to say, I mean, I've done it myself a few times following some of your programs, and they are transformative. They really do bring you into the body the way breath does, but with so much clarity and awareness and intention. I think what I find so transformative about the way you do it is that there's a clear intention around the practice going in. At least that's how it's been for me. And I get the clarity that I'm looking for when I go in with a clear intention. Am I getting that right? That's how it's been useful for me in
Oh,
any
yeah.
case.
Yeah, I think that focused awareness is a game changer because sometimes you go into these experiences and it's too
Mm-hmm.
broad and the emotions kind of pulling you everywhere and you don't have somewhere to really focus your mind to get to the root of. And so
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in group containers, the way that I could really help curate people's experiences is to give them focal points. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it started to become this practice where, okay, here's a clarity session, here's a healing session. This one's for inner child, this one's for confidence, this one's for fear. And what we do is we really curate the music and the playlists and the vocal cues and the intention setting up front so that it's geared to that specific thing. Or else sometimes people get really overwhelmed by having too much to think about, or their mind is going to so many different memories. So yeah, I'm so glad that you picked up on the intention, because being able to focus and concentrate your mind allows the solutions and the memories and the insight for that particular thing to come up on that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so beautifully done. I'm just so grateful to have been connected with you and discover your work and get to know you and just learn more about this. It's something that I incorporate into my personal life, and it's, of course, use meditation and all those embodiment practices, but breath in the body just really have a way of working so beautifully and magically together. Of course, what brings us into our body, but our breath. And
Mhm.
I know you have some exciting things coming up with your programs. Before we get to that, though, I want to ask how you use breath work to help people connect with their purpose as a tool, because of course that's sort of a passion of mine, just connecting with that, that purpose that's that inner knowing inside you. So I'm curious about how you use breath work for that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. So, on my journey, when I discovered breathwork, and first I realized I had to heal some things of the past that were unfinished. After I had kind of rectified my relationship to my father and to my mother and to my close friends, or relationships that I've sort of severed, once I released those energies, or came to peace with them, or brought in more forgiveness, I started to feel really clear. My channels were so clear. I was in alignment and I was starting to connect the dots between my experiences, my skill set, different qualities and attributes. And I started to find my purpose. I was like, well, my marketing and advertising background isn't going wasted. I'm just now applying all that knowledge and 10 years of experience to my brand now. And my mission now, which is helping spread consciousness to other people and help them get into alignment.
Yes.
and find more fulfilling than, the Google promotions and private jets. So that was part of my journey. And when I really discovered my purpose, there was nothing that was more fulfilling, more meaningful to me. There was no relationship, there was no connection that felt so joyous and so just exhilarating and exciting than knowing what you're meant to do in this life and having the opportunity to go do it and just be of service. So it was really my journey and how I discovered my purpose. And then after I did that, and I really loved what I did and I loved myself, I started to explore relationships. I was like, this person's really identifying my blind spots. This person's like really adding value to my life. So my journey over that year that I took as a spiritual sabbatical, that was all intuitive, that I didn't know was coming, I ended up taking that and creating a 12-week course, which again was intuitive. In a breathwork session, I saw, this is your 12 topics, and it's going to be healing the past, identifying your purpose, really connecting creative skills, and then healing relationships.
Wow.
And I was able to just take books and learnings, and I went through all of my journals from tons of retreats and workshops and courses, and condensing it into these 12 lessons with journal questions and with really breakthrough hypno breathwork sessions to help people discover their purpose. So in this course, you go from, okay, let's really explore your childhood and let's heal your relationship to your parents and your siblings. And now let's see what your past work experience looked like and what really lights you up. And then let's take it into relationships. So I really just took my own spiritual awakening journey and put it into a 12-week course for other people to help them discover their purpose. And it works.
It works.
Yeah, it's so amazing to, see people come out of that. They're like, this is it. These are the people I'm meant to serve. And I'm so lit up and I'm so motivated. Like, let's go, let's do it. I'm like, wow, it really works.
It really does. Oh, I love it. And I can attest to that. I've seen it in action as well. And it's so beautiful. I just love how aligned all of this is, and bringing it into, I hope one day to do your training too, and bring it into the work that I'm offering as well. So I really think it's just such a beautiful, beautiful match, and absolutely love everything that you're doing. So I'm excited to hear about what's coming up next for you in your career and with breathwork, and what you're working on next.
Yeah, so the next big project sort of for 2022 is I'm really working with my business coach and putting together a mastermind for entrepreneurs. So what I really discovered in this journey was that there's all these really gifted coaches and healers and guides, and they have such a pure intention, but they don't know how to monetize their business. And I think that's where I got really lucky in going into this space, because I come from a background of business strategy. Like, I really understand marketing and branding, and being able to infuse that knowledge with this transformative practice has been game changing for me in terms of really having abundance and success in this new career path. And I just meet so many people who they have the gift and they have a beautiful story, and they want to bring this work out into the world, but they don't have the fundamentals. They don't have the building blocks and the strategy. So my business coach and I have put together a 12-month mastermind to really help these entrepreneurs understand everything from their target audience to their messaging and their positioning, to understanding their finances, to understanding legal, to understanding how to have an abundant mindset, and how to cultivate your intuition. So it's a mixture of his business coaching and my hypno breath work. So it's an experiential practice, weekly sessions with us to really go through all those milestones, because we both coach individually, and it's just crazy. Like, we bounce this information back and forth with each other all the time. And I see people come out of my certification or out of my course and they're super lit up and they're like, let's do it. But then 6 months down the road, nobody signed up for their launch, and they crumble and they just fall and they start to lose the principles. So to be able to support them for a year throughout those different milestone moments, and really use the hypno breathwork to ingrain in their nervous system how to be a successful entrepreneur, how to have a mindset that can overcome every obstacle. I think it's going to be really big. I think it's going to be really game changing for them.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt. I can already tell, just having been through my own entrepreneurial journey and knowing how, you can have all the strategy out there, but unless you have that ability to break through some of those barriers that can hold you back. And I think that's where the hypno breath work comes in, and trusting yourself, trusting your audience, trusting your work, trusting your purpose, and just to be able to have that support to keep going and to do it with so much clarity. Game changing. I think that just sounds magical to me.
I'll be honest, like even now, I want to quit at every launch. Like my innate default reaction every time I launch something, once I get to the middle of it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is right anymore. It feels so strong once I get out of my hypno breathwork practice. Like, this is what you have to launch this day, this topic. And I go and I put it out in the world because that's intuitive action. And maybe it has momentum, maybe it doesn't. But somewhere in the middle, it never fails. I always want to quit.
Yeah.
And
I can relate.
Yeah, because it's like you're losing traction. Does anybody want this? You start to question your value. You start to question your worth. And if I didn't have this practice to keep connecting me to a higher vision, to keep connecting me to service and impact and a pure intention, then I would have quit in the middle of 10 different launches. And instead, I saw it through. And what always happens is on the last day, the universe rewards that tenacity. And the people who are meant to be in your program are in your program. But most people along that way will start to crumble.
Yeah, and you're right. And it comes down to really questioning your value, questioning your worth, questioning like what it is that I'm doing, right? Why am I doing this, right? My purpose, what brought me here? And having that ability to tap back into that again and again, just so that you stay on course with yourself and what you know to be true. You're right. There's a lot of points where you want to just go,
yeah, it is. It's really layered because you're putting your whole heart into this work and how good it is. But to convey that to an audience and all the steps it takes for them, right? It's like their time, their financial situation, their limiting beliefs about themselves, them playing small, not stepping into their power, their self-sabotage, all those things are on the other side. And so when you put everything into it and really, really hard work and dedication, and then it's not received because of whatever's going on the other side, you start to doubt yourself. And you can really it can really be difficult to have that kind of strength and that fortitude to keep going on this journey when you're not getting the feedback and the reciprocation that you hope for. So that's why self-validation is so key. And hypno breathwork just allows you to keep connecting to that truth, keep connecting to that higher vision of where you want to go, where you want to take it, and the lives that you want to change so that you can keep showing up even when it's hard.
Absolutely. That's the self-trust piece that's so important, because I think at least for me, when I slip into one of those moments, it's so easy to get caught up in comparison. And then I'm checking out what other people might be doing, or, oh, how did they do it? Or maybe I should have done it this way or that way. Or, you always want to self-reflect, but don't get caught up in that comparison that can be such a trap.
Comparison, imposter syndrome, perfectionism.
You name it. Yes.
So many things against us. That's why, to me, it's like my morning practice every single day. I have to get myself back in state, or else I can fall back into limiting beliefs and conditioning really quickly. So breathwork, meditation, operate from a higher place, and just keep showing up with a pure intention and a desire to serve. So,
wow. I couldn't have said it any better. And what a beautiful note to end on. Like, you just wrapped it up so beautifully. Oh, wow. I have chills. It's such a delight to speak with you. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share? Was there anything else on your mind that you felt like, oh, I'd like, this is coming through and I'd really love to express this, or something else that you wanted to share before we close out this interview?
Yeah, I think my sort of call to action for everyone would just be, where can you find a moment where you can take intuitive action today? I just want everyone to feel a glimpse of what that feels like, to move through the discomfort, to do the thing that your body, your inner knowing knows that you're meant to do, because that might be the glimpse that allows you to have more courage and to take bigger and bolder action and get in alignment and get on this spiritual path that you and I are both on, that's been so magically rewarding and hard, but synchronistic and just really, really special and unique. So I would just tell everyone, intuitive action is where it's at. And if you do one small intuitive action today, it might just be the thing that changes your life.
Wow. So powerful. Yes, yes, and yes. Tell our listeners where they can find you to learn more about you and some of your offerings, and how they can maybe tap into some of this beautiful hypno breath work that you've created.
Yeah, so you guys can go to francescasipma.com. There's a variety of different sessions and products that you can check out there, and also follow me on social media at Francesca Sipma. I'm always posting new events and workshops that are coming up as well.
Oh, wonderful. So exciting, and definitely worth the follow. It's beautiful. You've got so much great information from your Instagram page to your website. And I know that anybody who chooses to tap into it is just going to be so glad that they did. It's powerful and transformative. And I'm personally so grateful for your work. And I know that it's impacting and transforming my days as well. So honored to have you here and have this conversation. I just totally lit up by it. And I know that we'll cross paths again soon. So I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Francesca. I'm so happy to have you here with me. It's an honor to have you tuning in each week. I want you to know that no matter where you're at and no matter what transition you're facing, you are supported and loved. You are whole, and you are more than capable as you are in this moment. You always have been. If you're ready to lean into a life of purpose, clarity, and joy through sisterhood, ritual, and intention, join us in the Connected Circle. Consider us your soul squad of women navigating all the transitions of life together. To join now, head over to my website, lisamalia.co, and join the Connected Circle at the very top of the page. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please share, subscribe, rate, and write a review. This helps the goddess of the algorithm guide other incredible people to find this show and supports the work we do here. It really does make a difference, and I would be so grateful. With all my love, have a beautiful day.